So continuing on, Mark, we're going to start to look at when the fours kind of use their ability to be in touch with more self-reflection and melancholy, how there can be kind of an accepting of narrative and a universal extension, an empathy to people that's equanimity. It's the equanimity of origin and self kind of extending to others and compassionate and gentle.
The garlic. Some of you are starting to realize that I'm just a cook, not a chef. It's all right. What are you going to do? Tell a homeless guy, hey, get a job. Okay, where are they? Where are the jobs? People are going to have to accept that that might be their job for a while. Don't judge. There's no fucking draining the system. The system is done. Here, look at that. All right, this is going to take forever. We're going to, ow. No, it's not. That was stupid. How stupid was that?
The fours are very good at seeing where other people are coming from in their pain and their subjectivity, because they're so aware of that process themselves that when they're healthier, they can come with this non-judgmental, humble awareness of where people are coming from, and in a gentle way. Because fours, as much as they sometimes judge other people in this envious way, like I hate you, it's more about themselves. And when they're more relaxed, they have like very little judge. Rumi, a four, meet me in the place beyond good and evil, but in a very empathetic way, or not about moralizing, and because they can see that each journey, thinking about this on a deeper level, capitalism way, it's like, all right, this is Breakroom Live right after, not that long after the crash, the economic crash, to say, what, you gonna tell a homeless guy to get a job? Is this ability to identify with not having your path, right? It's like the equanimity of realizing you need to accept that some people aren't going to have a job for a while, and that's going to be your identity, and being able to sit with equanimity and say, hey, this is the financial crisis, shit is swamped, but also not angry or envious or fantasizing about it, just sitting in that reality and with this humility kind of forgiving that for yourself and for other people. And you see the regeneration in the flow, and that he's doing the garlic. Also, he's accepting himself. Like, I don't need to have the identity of a professional chef. I can just cook. I don't need to fixate an identity, right? But there's still these little comments, always aware of the process, like the narration of what's occurring that isn't perfect from their flow, right? Like, oh, I burned myself. Oh, and then there's this ironic self-deprecatory humor that can be self-conscious, but also very kind of earthy and honest and nice. It's present, and he's cooking, and he's narrating, and he's accepting people, and it's nice.
Did you feel an affinity with the Jews when you came down here?
Yes, I knew a lot of my history was here, but I didn't get hung up on it.
So as fours get healthier, they can learn to love, to see their history, and go to the Lower East Side and see like Jewish forebears, but also not get obsessed with it, not get into this fixated identities. I didn't get hung up on it. I'm not going to obsessed about all my past experiences as a dog and a bone. It's about celebrating the root, fertile creativity of that.
My memories are hazy.
The original Mamas was a guy in the food service industry that just had a steam table. He'd make home-cooked food, and then you'd buy it like, on a line, right?
My memories are hazy.
So for the four telling the story and recreating these old origins and home, this kind of, it can be nostalgic, but it can be very regenerative, right? He's in San Francisco here. He's my memories are hazy, but it's creating this subjectivity of, ooh, they would have home cooked food, telling the story. There becomes this creative community, keeping up the flame, telling the story, finding things from the past to regenerate forward and kind of create story. And you start finding happier valences in the regeneration and in the four, feeling in touch with this sort of natural, original community, but not in a nostalgic way, but in a also in touch way that is creative.
Look at this victory garden. I love New York today. Today I love New York.
So as fours relax, they can just sort of relax into the moment. If they can kind of find a vibe where you don't want to over-fixate it, but if they can relax into the gardens, they don't need to fixate their happiness, but they can learn to not just be in these dark emotions, but to let happiness kind of flow. But always still there's the contingency. I like New York today, this resistance to fixating it.
Remember down here? Save the Robots? On this corner there was like this lot that was like this sculpture garden, and then there was the all-night after-hours place, Save the Robots, which is pretty famous in the 80s. Never went in there.
So we have another example of the creative potential of the four, this regeneration of origin. is creating something new through this sort of detritus, this raw material. There were robots, they were on the corner, and he's also noticing the creation of what these people were doing. So if 4 starts rescuing the creativity of other people, right? There's like the making it from nothing, from the death, right? There's a sculpture Gordon on the corner. And this is the After Hours place, the 80s. It's giving the origin of all of us, right? This storytelling, keeping of the flame, but also always the 4 of the fantasy self and what you didn't do. Always I should have done this, I didn't, I never went in there, right? Let's look at another good story of kind of the way that the 4s rescue the texture of not just themselves and their interior world, but become aware of other things around them and sort of the keeping of the flame, equanimity, storytelling, regenerative creativity they can have.
Marc Maron here on New York's Lower East Side. The whole history of the Jews down here, like way back in the day, this place, there were Jews everywhere. There were Jews on the balconies. There were actually some Jews stuck on the side of the buildings like cicadas, little old Jewish guys. And you're like, well, he's going to have a new skin soon. And you would see like the skins of old Jews on the buildings because they'd molt and go back into the tenement and start sewing, making shoes, sewing, yelling at each other.
So notice the way, just like Edward Said kind of brings in the Palestinian story, the way Jameson, the roots and the story of late capitalism. Maron here is in Lower East Side, look at his people, the Jews, the back in the day, this nostalgia, this is the romantic individualist, this romance. There were Jews everywhere, and the balconies, and just this fertility in this. He's recreating the flowering, the blooming that there was of selfhoods, and I love the image of this overabundant of the renovation that you have stuck on the side of buildings, cicadas, and they're regenerating new skin, right? The 4 at their best recreates from their self-creative in person and community, creating all the selfhood of, there can be a selfhood of a country, as eventually I'll get to looking at it. Fred Jameson, he doesn't believe in selfhood, just like the 4. There is no identity, but they're afraid of that. But anyway, this regeneration through stories, the skin, and then also this rescuing of the experience. Fred Jameson talks about the quality of work, like what in each work job are you doing, from the standpoint theory, but just being in that flow, sewing. Rescuing the gestalt of action, of labor, what it's like to be in the farm, what it's like to be doing this, but also just that weaving, how he's rescuing that interior withdrawal. There's this new regeneration, but also the weaving and the sewing and the continuing on of the community and the threading regeneration forward. And he's rescuing that for the next coming generation. So this is kind of 4, when it's at its more equanimity, non-fixated place, is just this sort of joyous or equanimity carrying of the flame for the people. And I'll be back around soon with whatever the heck I'm working on. A lot of different stuff. I have a million Maron clips, but I think this is a good introduction for now. Thanks. This is Tabby Personality Outer, Maron, Enneagram 4.